Tonight, the United Nations calls on Afghanistan's neighbors to keep their borders open as the number of civilians fleeing Taliban onslaught swells. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, yes, channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. Remember to go on to the Google Play Store and the App Store to download the 3 News app, and let's engage. We first begin from the Upper West region, where travelers using the Nadoli-Lora Highway were Friday morning stranded between Setbere and Goriyiri in the Nadoli-Kalio district of that region after torrential rains caused parts of the area to flood. Passengers who were on their way from Accra and other parts of the country to the Upper West region spent hours waiting for the water level to recede.
The rain started around 8 p.m. Thursday. It continued till 8 a.m. Friday. One articulated truck which was traveling from Tema in the Greater Accra region to Burkina Faso was involved in an accident in an attempt to cross. Farmlands have been submerged, with the rains affecting some communities in the Nadoli-Kalio and Jirapa municipalities, including dams. Some travelers expressed their frustrations.
The sad part of it is that there is no any other road that we could pass, but we have to go. We're supposed to have reached that almost 3 hours now. We are still on the way, and we don't still know the fate, whether we can cross or we can't.
All the water from Drone going to all Drone area from Sombo, all the water is passing through this place. So it's marvelous. It's marvelous.
Jirapa Municipal Chief Executive Christine Bombanyamadu was also stranded on her way to the municipality.
I heard about a bridge in my municipality between Nadoli and then Jirapa, that the water has flown over the bridge. And so I was going and then to divert my route from Nadoli through Babli to Jirapa, only for me to get here and then realizing that we are also stranded here too.
Well, joining us is George AC. He is Director of Communications of NADMO. George, thank you so much for your time this evening. What is NADMO's initial assessment of the situation on the ground?
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Yeah, NADMO is asked most of the stranded victims to move to the Nadoli Township, where we are helping them to integrate and then getting some places as safe havens for them. So for now, that is the issue we are giving out to everybody stranded in the area to move to the Nadoli Township. Majority of the people have heeded to that call and they've moved to the Nadoli Township.
I was asking earlier on your initial assessment of the extent of damage there.
Oh yeah, extent of damage. We have been the report that about 80 houses have collapsed. About 80 houses have collapsed, and thereby causing about families to be stranded. And that is how we've moved, asked them to move to the Nadoli Township. So yes, most of the farms have been submerged under water, as your report has rightly put it. And so there's a lot of problem. A part of the roads have been washed off. And that's the major challenge that we are facing. Part of the roads has been washed off, as you said, from Nadoli Kalio through to Jirapa going towards Hamile. 2 major sections of the road have been washed off. And we understand that Dam Aduk has also overflown its banks, and is part of the reason why the flooding is severe and is washed part of the roads away.
Now, George, you talked about 80 houses that have been brought down. Where you're trying to get relief to these households. Some communities have also been cut off. How would you get relief items, especially to those communities cut off?
Yeah, NADMO has pre-positioned some relief items in Wa. We have some rice, oil, and others that we can use to support the people. So what we are doing now for them is for them to integrate and then get some safe havens for them. Then we can send the relief items to support them in the immediate time. We have people from items in Wa, so we can support them in the immediate time for at least maybe 10 to 12 days before if we overwhelm, we get restocking.
What information have you gotten from the Ghana Met Service as rainfall expected to be heavy in the coming days?
Yes. In fact, we have been given the report that even in that area, the rain is not going to subside now. It's even looking as if tonight and tomorrow they are still going to have more rains. And so they ought to be careful. Meteo is continuously warning that the rains are going to be severe. Let's be careful, and people should pay heed to the Meteo advice.
Well, thank you very much for your time. And George AEC is Communications Director of NADMO. And Alfred, we are talking about 80 communities being cut off.
It's a very, very worrying development, and especially you look at the extent of the floods, cutting off the amount of persons who are commuting to the area. It's a very, very serious concern. We'll see what the NADMO, how fast and urgent the interventions will be in this regard. Let's come down south, because the Greater Accra Regional Minister is insisting the Operation Clean Your Frontage bylaw to be rolled out in the last week of this month has to be vigorously implemented by all MMDAs to achieve a coherent output. Henry Corte, in an interaction with MMDA heads, noted the bylaw will compel residents and operators within their catchment areas to ensure clean and green frontage of their residential, private and industrial buildings.
Accra, Ghana's capital, has solid waste collection and disposal problems that are concentrated in poor residential neighborhoods. Efforts to improve solid waste management have focused on improving solid waste collection and curbing the menace. The drafted Operation Clean Your Frontage bylaw would see the reintroduction of sanitation inspection by environmental health officers to homes and office buildings within the region. It seeks to bring a halt in the indiscipline in waste management and filth that have engulfed the region, but maintain a high level of cleanliness to prevent the outbreak of infectious diseases and protect public health and the environment.
We will be engaging the chiefs through the traditional councils. The assemblies have continuously enjoyed the support of the traditional authorities. So it's a collective effort. I encourage the MCs to be able to engage the traditional authorities more in this exercise so we can work together.
Deputy Minister for Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Osei Bonsuama, says all legal processes will be explored to pass it and ask for support from MMDAs.
Since you do the bylaw through consultations with the general community, and then the Assembly will take a decision. It has to come to the RCC, where the regional minister is the chair, and they would approve the bylaw.
The Operation Clean Your Frontage bylaw will be launched on August 24, 2021.
In more news tonight, the Dean of the UPSA Law School, Professor Kofi Abuchi, says unresolved murders can trigger or fuel more insecurity. Speaking at TV3 3FM Thought Leadership Forum in Accra, he called on the Ghana Police Service to work extra hard at solving these murders.
Murders that are unresolved. Unresolved murders create the perception that further murders may happen and they may be unresolved, and your own murder may happen, and nobody will be held to account for that. It is therefore imperative that the police demonstrate a capacity. A policeman who doesn't have adequate training gets angry quickly. And because he doesn't understand the scope of his work, it is easy for him to take his anger on you, thinking you are the one who's standing in his way.
Professor Kofi Abuchi argued that adequate security cannot be compromised and therefore tasked the police service to provide training and capacity building to ensure that the highest level of security is achieved.
Crimes happen, and before the police get there, or the police are even there, and the whole crime scene is messed up. Because people are walking on the crime scene and the police are having a hard time keeping people off the crime scene. How many police stations in Ghana have fingerprinting equipment? In other words, when they bring someone to the police station, the first thing, How many police stations have that basic equipment or that basic whatever it is to take the fingerprint of a suspect so that even if that suspect runs the next day, they'll still be able to trace him somehow and get him once he's arrested somewhere?
Meanwhile, a security fellow at TDD Ghana, Abrampa Mensah, says deploying the military to control violence must be done only when necessary.
Before a military is deployed to a situation or a center or to quell any issue, it means the situation has gotten out of hand. So you deploying the military, the forces to be combined with the services in a certain situation, you are telling us that the service is there to quell it based on their own usual attention of demanding a response from the people, whilst the military is there to enforce the law if the soft attention demanded is not conformed to. So by deploying the military, we are expecting a certain harsh action to be taken.
Let's see a bit further with the outcome of the all-important conversation that we had yesterday. The Executive Director of the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism, Murtala Momoni Mokhtar, is saying that youth unemployment is what is driving most young people into joining violent terrorist groups across the world. Now, speaking on TV3 and 3FM Thought Leadership Forum, he warned if such vulnerabilities are not curtailed, the consequences could be dire for the country.
The growing concern of insecurity in Ghana is gradually crippling trust in security.
Has changed